It's a cool instrument. I just ain't been playing it. Really, that's not the amp for it. I got an amplifier for this. It sounds a lot better on it. It gets out there and sounds the way it's supposed to. It's got like a 15-inch speaker. It's got aluminum cone. It's a 200-watt speaker, big, massive speaker. And it's got 210 watts RMS. And it's just made for the steel and make it sound right.
So it can handle everything the steel can put out.
It'll make it go, make it get out there and, you know, make it project, handles the bottom end of it real good.
Sounds great with
It's a nice instrument. I just don't play it. I just, I don't know. A lot of times, like if I go to the church, I'm more interested in maybe playing the keyboard or singing or getting into the word or something. I played the steel for years in church. I want to do more than that. Sometimes you need to talk to people to help them, you know. And I don't really have nobody to pick with. All the guys I know that can really pick all playing. Everybody wants to be the front man. Hey, that's the truth. I mean, most of the people that are front men or singers can't play anything. They have very little talent. They want to be the star. And that's, you know, I mean, you get a lot of people that are even fairly decent musicians that won't play their instruments because they all want to be out there. You know, and they're really out there, all right, but not the way they would like to be. So nobody kind of willing to do what you have to do to make things work. And usually, since church musicians don't get paid anything, they're undisciplined. They won't play the rhythm part, and the lead player won't play rhythm when he should. And the drummer wants to overplay, you know. And there's just a lot of factors that are just, you know, it's just a multiple amount of factors.
So isn't it difficult to sing and play at the same time?
Do what now?
Sing and play at the same time?
What about that?
Is that more difficult?
Oh yeah. Anything you do,
So
if
it's
you're
like
doing
double
two things, you have to be comfortable with both of them. Not just trying to kind of get by. You have to know what you're doing on both of them. You know. So, I mean, like a pedal steel is probably the hardest instrument I ever played to play and sing with. That's almost unbelievable. But if you have a group that everybody's in the pocket and does exactly what they're supposed to do, you don't have no problem. But if you got a bunch of clowns, which you usually do, you can't do that. Because I'm busy holding the group together usually when I'm playing with musicians, but most of them won't do what they're supposed to do. You do that on a pedal steel, it'll eat you up. You can't get the rhythm man and the bass man and the drummer, you know, doing, it's like a clock.
Yeah.
You know, it's like down in Nashville when the studio musicians go in there. They might be able to play all kinds of crazy stuff, but when they put a chart before them, they want them to play what goes, not only the mechanics of that chart, but they expect them to know the instrument well enough to know what not to put, what to put. That's just an outline. They have to be a master musician to fill in what don't go and what goes. And if you don't do it, you get one trip and then you go home. They don't play. You go in there and see some old man on the drums, looks like he's beat to death. He plays just like a clock. Sucker's doing his job and they love him. And when it comes time for him to blast off, he's on it too. He can smoke. But you don't know it until it's time. That's how it works. It's like anything, really. You know, you do what you're supposed to do or you're a clown. Right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So, a lot of clowns. I've clowned around my my whole life. I enjoyed it though. I went into a session one time and they had so much stuff on the charts that I couldn't read it. Because luckily I was there when they was putting the bass and drums down, because on the charts they put all kinds of little stuff in there, the accent notes and 1, 3, 4, 5, 7 sharp and all kinds of junk like that. They had that chart so scratched up it looked like Chinese writing. It was like, and you couldn't even tell what it meant. And these guys was looking over my shoulder, and I was going to put a guitar part down. They was like all nervous and all this. I already knew what I was going to play, but I couldn't read the chart because it was killed. And I just said, okay. And I'm sitting there looking at that chart, man. And I done the guitar part, man. They loved it. But I don't know. But that's how that stuff is. You gotta play. You know, it's so easy to make music if you've got a drummer that does his job, stays in the pocket, doesn't overplay, doesn't play too loud. He's tasteful. He knows what he's doing. He don't have to guess what the next movie's going to make. He's played them enough that he knows. You know, then the whole group, you get them all like that, man, you got something. I've never had such a thing. Not in live music. I played with a couple decent groups, but not for very long or something.